Hey everybody, it's who am I? Oh yeah, I'm Bob Pick,
Are you
and
sure?
the Purple Cow Wow dude, and it's approaching 67. Puts his reading glasses on, and I have, depending where you're at, and Zoom, the one and only, the only and one, Dr. Alan G. for a godsend Stern, and
Hey, Bob.
so this is going to be, as Laura put it, one epic interview, and I would agree with her. Let me cut this down here. No energy in this interview, and
No.
there we go. Hey Martha, welcome. And so we got so much to cover here. I don't even know where to begin. And so it's an honor to have you out here. You're currently in New Jersey, and
Yep.
Wes Blakesley calls you his fellow Jersey Shore dude.
West
And
is just down the road from me. Yeah.
I just was live on Purple Cow. The Blue Angels were doing a display here on the lakefront. Man, there's a couple times they literally came right over my building. And when the afterburners, it's like a second delay. The sound is so crazy. And especially with my hearing aid the size of West Texas. Oh my God. But he's a Purple Cow wow. Somewhere down the line, could be interviewing him. He was the dentist for the Blue Angels right out of dental school when he was in the
That's
Navy.
right. That's right. Yeah,
How
West. Those Blue Angels. Bob. I don't know how they do it. I've seen them, and my son was an aspiring pilot at one time, and those guys are so precise. And talk about no margin for error. Oh my goodness.
it's unbelievable, and you have to be watching. One of the things that's learned coming from a former jet jockey is trust, because
Yeah,
as a group leader, everyone else that's in position can't be looking out the window because you'd hit the next person. You follow the group leader. If you're 10 feet like this, here's the other guy's wing and you're like this. If he does that, you got to do that. If you're looking out the window, you'll smack him. And it's trust, it's accuracy, it's teamwork.
isn't that the same thing as what you and I are preaching and teaching and living?
You boy, you got that right. So I got so many questions to ask you, and I'm going to begin with when you were in dental school, did you ever think, of course, probably like me, I never thought there would be something called social media,
Yeah.
but tell me about Better, Richer, Stronger. How did it develop? How did it come about? When did you do it?
Bob, thanks for the question. And I really appreciate being here. And I even more appreciate the friendship that you and I have developed and the likeness of mindset. And we're comrades here on a very similar mission. So my story goes, and I would never have imagined uh, a platform like this growing up in the 60s. It was, the world was much different. But now that the world is different, I've managed to use it to get a message across that's for the good. I started out almost the same time you did, Bob. I'm a child of the 50s and 60s, graduated dental school in 1981. And I think for me, there are things in my environment that were not conducive to growth, that were not conducive to self-esteem, self-efficacy. And it was really amazing that I got into dental school to begin with. And dental school, of course, you get a great education. And I don't fault anything or anyone in the system. I think the dental education system could be better. But dental school instructors are people just like you and I. And they're plotting their way through the world the best way they know how. But the culture of dental school is such that vulnerable people like me can take we can take an emotional battering. If your work isn't perfect, it's garbage. And if your work's garbage, you're garbage. And that is a message that people like you and I are vulnerable to. It's not that it's given with intent, because dental school instructors are people, and people are mostly good. And good people make mistakes. So the culture of dental school really beat me down pretty hard. And for a good part of my career, I underachieved. And to compensate for perceived underachievement, I was doing fine. But to compensate for that, I spent a lot of money. And I bought into some advice that was not for me. It worked for others. It didn't work for me. It cost me a fortune. And after I sold my house under duress, fortunately with my skin intact, I became aware of the importance of cash flow and the importance of living consistently with who I am. I am not Bob Pick. I am not my dear friend Leanne Brady, who's just one of the most miraculous practitioners who can do anything and everything. She runs the Pankey Institute now. I cannot be anybody else but who I am. And when I found that groove, I found my happiness, and I found my cash flow, and I found my enjoyable life. Perfect? No. Stress-free? Never. Show me a person without stress and I'll show you a cadaver. You've heard me say that a million times privately, but I'm happy. And I also got myself into condition, lost 35 pounds, picked up a lot of muscle, both my wife and me. And better rich, yeah, there you go. Pinch them biceps, flex them babies. But what happened, we talked to a lot of our colleagues during the course of our careers. And what I realized is that the baggage that I carried was not much different than that of other people who are still trying to figure it all out. And I realized that my resurgence, my recovery, my resilience could be a model for a lot of other people. You don't have to be miserable. You don't have to emulate somebody else. You don't have to be anything other than you. And allow your dentistry to be your own vehicle for good, your own means to express yourself and to give goodness in the world. And that message seemed to hit with a lot of people I had casual conversations with. So I decided to form this little endeavor called Better, Richer, Stronger. I wrote a book at the behest of my business coach, Mark LeBlanc, the wonderful Mark LeBlanc. You're very familiar with Mark. And all of a sudden, COVID hits. And we get locked down. And I've got nothing better to do than to get on here and meet people like you, Bob, and to start spreading my message through social media. And it caught. It caught. And I seem to resonate with people. And Bob, from a guy, and I hear you saying this also, the line, I never would have imagined, never in my life could I have imagined. And me too, never in my life, never in my emotionally battered, beaten life, could I ever have thought that I could get to this point where I can help my peers and I can help anybody in the dental world and frankly, anybody in any kind of world with my story, with the lessons I've learned and with the message I have. So that's a long-winded answer to your little question there.
That sounds like a Bob Pick answer, but if we weren't long-winded, there'd be something wrong. But I joke, when somebody fills out the med history form, the first time I see, we ask a good question. Do you have stress? There's a checkbox at home, at work, both. Yeah. The day I find somebody that doesn't check it, which has not happened yet, I want to write their story. Stress is a human experience, and everybody's got it. I agree. Yeah. The day somebody doesn't have stress, there's got to be a real purple cow. But it's huge, and so many things going through my head right now.
May I add something here, Bob?
No. Yes.
Stress is something that we need to work with, and if we know how to work with it, we don't have to have stress and beat ourselves down with it. We use our stress and turn it into creative discontent or constructive discontent. I was 35 pounds overweight. I could have curled up in a corner with a piece of cake and a milkshake, or I turned that discontent into something. I hired a personal trainer and started working at it. So and my practice wasn't what I wanted it to be. So what did I do? I got a coach and I shaped it into what it's supposed to be for me. So that in the first part of my career, knuckled under the stress. But when I became enlightened, oh my goodness, yeah, I'm stressed. What am I going to do about it? I'm going to grow. That's what I'm going to do about it. That's the difference. Stress could be a good thing if you use it right.
Boy, I could not agree more. And I'm one of these people, I'm ADD, ADHD, ADHD, HDA, and I've never been able to sit still. I mean, I must have driven my mom crazy in the womb. Get me out of here. But not being able to sit still, that also leads to an ultimate procrastinator because I can't focus. But when I learned how to, in college, I learned how to get through my ADHD. It was hysterical. There was a group like six of us that would always go to the library to study. From like about 6 o'clock to 10, 11, they'd be focused. I'd be up every 5 minutes, couldn't sit still. But I realized from like midnight to 3, 4 in the morning, my body relaxed. That was my time to cook it and smoke it. But when the stress comes, that's when my mind goes, all right, man, we got to really kick some butt here and move it in high gear. And
Yeah.
but you're not alone. And when I gave a lecture, right when I lost my hearing, like that's a whole other story. 14 days before a sold out ballroom in the midwinter meeting 2017 is when I lost my hearing from one of the long term side effects that it came up. But long story short, um, uh, it, it, you know what? I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to come back to what I was going to talk about in a second. I'll tell you why in a second. So I'm going to ask you a question that I think is a great question. And the question is, if you could do it over, what would you change? And before you answer that, I decided to ask the question first and then talk about what I was going to talk about. I did like a poll of the room at a 500-person ballroom, and I said, how many boomers? There was like a third, Gen Xers a third, millennials a third. I said, millennials, how many of you learned how to save money and invest early? Almost every millennial's hand went up. Gen Xers was maybe 60%, and I said, all right, the rest of you were boomers like me. How many of you did your parents, grandparents sit down and say, here's how you save and invest? 2 hands went up. It's not an uncommon baby boomer endeavor. We were also taught by our parents from what they went through, especially you. Your mom came from a concentration camp from Europe, that we're now in a better country. You've got to study your gahungas off to become a doctor, a lawyer, an accountant, the American dream, and you live gorgeously. And so you're not alone. And
No, not at all.
I got such a late start in investing, it's scary. I was 44 years old, and my banker had been my banker since I was a resident. And she goes, Dr. Pick, can I ask you a question? I'm like, sure. It was maybe the only smart thing I was doing at the time. I was refinancing my townhome. She goes, do you ever want to retire? And I thought, that's a dumb question. I'm like, well, somewhere, yeah, why? She goes, well, at the rate you're going, if you want to live with the level you're living now, you're going to be 196 before you can retire. And I thought, is she whacked? And it scared the heck out of me.
Don't say that word, Bob. Don't say that word.
It scared the out of me, and I got moving. But when I look at an investment calculator, compounded interest, what I've lost is so scary. I focused, however, and it's a whole other thing, or help people learn. One of the things about the mastermind is I help people learn how to invest in big time. So with that said, and being a typical baby boomer, if you could do it over, what would you change if you would change anything? Diapers?
I change very little. I married the right girl. I have a great circle of friends. I opened my own practice. And I, quote unquote, suffered adversity. And all of that adversity made me what I am today. I have very few regrets. Yes, indeed. I think if there was anything I could do over again, it would have been, as you alluded to be a little bit more mindful of saving. I come from a home that went financially bankrupt. My father did not know how to put money away, and I had no role model. Uh, when I got down to Pankey, I ran into the legendary Dr. Rich Green, who taught us this. The Dr. Pankeyism was live here, earn here, live here, and save, invest the rest. But I unfortunately did not take that lesson to heart. And I woke up one morning in my mid 50s, early to mid 50s. And all of a sudden, my wife and I, we found ourselves living paycheck to paycheck. And I said, whoa, we got a problem here. And very fortunately, and it happens all the time, Bob, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I went from the wrong financial planning firm to the right one. A young gentleman named Jim DiNardo in New York City, who was old enough to be my son, provided me with the guidance to sell the house, provided me with a structured plan to put money away. And life has very rudely taught me the lesson: just live below your means. Just live below your means. You know, one thing that COVID taught us, so we were talking in a group with Mark LeBlanc, we have a little community, and he asked us all, what is the one thing that the COVID lockdown taught you? And the one thing it taught me was how much I have and how little I need. How much I have. You and I both, and I don't know what you earn, and I don't particularly care what you earn because you're a valuable, beautiful human being. But we both have stuff that's the envy of 90 to 99% of the world that most people can't imagine having. And we have less than some. So what? Are we happy? Are we in control of our lives? Do we practice the way we want? Are we scared to death if the next patient isn't going to accept the case that we show them? Are we scared to death to take the time with people with a financial anvil hanging over our heads? You don't want that. If you can practice, live below your means and stop comparing yourself. Because you know what, Bob? I see you have certain things. I see other guys out there, they have certain things that I may or may not have. The trick is this: you don't know what price the other guy paid or is paying to have what you perceive that they are having. That's a critical lesson. That's a critical foundation to living below your means. The guy who drives the big car and has the McMansion and has vacation homes in every major city, or retired at age 21 while seeing 15,000 patients a day, placing 8,200 implants in an hour, you don't know what price that individual is paying. Of course, I'm exaggerating. But look at yourself. Look at yourself and get a scientific plan to get control of your life. Live below your means. And the heck with I'll say it, the hell with anybody who might think otherwise, because aside from your spouse, your partner, your family, what they think does not matter.
Yes, couldn't agree more. And you got to be happy. And there's so many variables, so many variants. I always say, I wish I could go. I wouldn't change much. My diapers, maybe my mom changed.
Bob, you live long enough, you'll have that opportunity again.
And don't scare me. And not much. I would maybe start investing earlier, and like you, I didn't listen to some people that would give me some info that I should have taken, but I was more concerned about showing off this or showing off that and that sort of stuff. And wouldn't for that banker, I'm not sure I would have gotten scared, but boy, did I get frightened. And like you, I took a risk maybe 3 years ago now. As you know, twice a year, we go away from the office with my team and we do a PBR, Pick Business Team Building Retreat. When we coach others, it starts as a one-day retreat. And it's use retreats to become a Fortune 500 dental business with ethics first, and it'd be a Fortune 100 dental business to work for. But I took a risk. And there's so many things I learned, and like who you surround yourself with, my financial people today are all younger than me. One of them my team calls my Jeremy, because there's a Jeremy who has a YouTube channel called Financial Education. For those that are listening, you want to get blown away. He's got Financial Education 1, 2, and 3. 1 and 3 are awesome, amazing tips. Jeremy is a guy that started working at a Walgreens, got interested in the stock market. In the last 10 years, he's put over like $20 million away from market trading. It's insane. But we call it my Jeremy. There was a young man I mentored. His mom was a nurse at Northwestern. Story's way too long. He's a financial genius. He turned me on to so many things. Some of the investing apps today, Robinhood, M1. And so I said to my team, we're going to have fun. And I gave everybody a $200 of cash in an envelope. And I took a risk because money's a big risk.
Yeah.
But I said, all right, guys, I always want you to be successful. I love my team. I said, we brought Jeremy in. He showed him what M1 was. And he goes, Bob's got an awesome pie, as it's called. You can develop your own pie. And so they all, before that hour was up, they all opened up an M1 account, had their own pies. A couple of them took my pies. But it turned out to be such a fun thing. Once every other week, we spend 2 seconds. All right, where's your M1? Oh my God, I'm up 10%, 40%. My office manager, Diana, did so well the first year in M1. She cashed out on some stuff. Yes, she has to pay capital gains. But she bought all of her Christmas presents for her entire family from that one $200 investment that almost 8 times itself in a short time frame. So it's fun. And I want to teach others to do that so they don't make the stupid mistakes that I've made. Let's get back on track.
But sometimes the mistake is the learning experience. And if they don't make your stupid mistakes or mine, they're going to make some. And hopefully they'll parlay those mistakes into good life lessons. Hopefully those mistakes are not things that get you into serious trouble, illegal, immoral, or unethical. But hey, we all make them. We all make them. And hopefully people listening to us, individually or collectively, will learn a little bit and will avoid something, Bob. And
I'm looking
what's that?
I'm looking for 2 things here. I'll find them in a second. Erwin Schiff wants to know what's in your mug.
Oh, first of all, Erwin, hey, how you doing, bro? This is Go Yankees, please. They were winning when I turned it off. This is green tea with raw honey. I'm a coffee lover, but it may be damaging my innards, so I'm trying to switch over to green tea. But normally it would be fresh ground whole bean coffee with almond milk.
And by the way, Michael Abernathy's out here.
Hey, Mike.
How are you? Look up him and Amazon. Awesome book. I'll never forget him with my goofy handicap from radiation. He helped me up on the stage as the first on a win-win.
Another great leader and great thinker. And thanks for joining us, guys.
Judy Johnson, amazing. Just log in and see most respected people in dentistry. What a flattering comment.
Judy J. Johnson.
Alec Jarvis is watching, who's one of my super coolio awesome reps, and Laura Brennis.home says, hi, you too.
Gloat, the greatest Laura of all time.
Gloat.
Yep.
So I got a question for you.
I got an answer.
Yeah, and we're very much aligned, and people, if you're not doing social media right now today, especially on your office page or personal page, wake up and crank it. Hate to say that. It's the way of the world. And I get 30% of my patients through social media. I wouldn't have met Alan I don't think if it wasn't for social
No,
media.
we would not. We would never. No way we would have met. No way.
You know, someone that's been on the lecture circuit since 80, oh my God, 85, when I pioneered lasers, which most people don't even know about because I left it so long ago. The only way you met people, you lectured somewhere, and if they were in the audience, you maybe knew them, and then that was it. You know, we didn't have technology we have today. But somehow Alan and I kept showing up in the same places with the same answers, with the same attitude, with the same everything. And is it what, 2 years ago now, 3 years ago now,
Alexa, notification.
I spoke to a hospital dental study club by Jersey Shore. So Alan and I and my EA Diana went for dinner the night before. Oh my God, did we have fun? Brando's, what an amazing restaurant. Wow. And it's been an instant friendship. Like, oh God, what am I going to do with her? And it's my brother from another mother. So we think a lot alike, but here's an awesome question. What I wrote some questions down that I want to ask you. What's
Bring
the
'em.
missing ingredient in the dental practice today?
I think that Bob, the missing ingredient is something that's universal. And a couple of years ago, I was at the Speaking Consulting Network conference, and we heard a guy named Todd Williams talk. And Todd Williams was the public relations guy for the Four Seasons hotel chain, and he moved on from there to a big healthcare corporation in California. I forget the name, but something that Todd Williams said really resonated with me. Being good is not good enough. We all do good dentistry. Whatever good dentistry is in your own mind, we all do good dentistry. It's not good enough. Todd Williams said, lead with love. And I believe to the core of my being that in a digitized, corporatized, commoditized race to the bottom in what is referred to as healthcare, what really is disease care, we are becoming so impersonal and so exclusively focused on the bottom line. You've got to be focused on your bottom line. If you don't make more money than you spend, you've got a big problem and you can't do anything. So I'm not trivializing that by any means, but you have to incorporate love into your culture. And this is something you talk about a lot, Bob. Monday mornings, Bob Pick kicks some butt. It's 2 minutes and I'll be in the room with a super coolio awesome team that I love. I love them all. And it's, you say it kind of lightly, but it's true. And it's a profound concept. And to give you an example of how important this is, when those of you old enough to remember, when those planes hit those towers in New York on September 11th, and that the reality of it resonated with us, what did we do? We scrambled to our families, to our friends. We didn't give a damn about anything else, because when the chips are down, when you look at the basic need of a human being, and Brene Brown talks about this too, man has an irreducible need for love and belonging. When those planes hit those towers and we felt like we were under attack, and we went to our closest, dearest loved ones and embraced them. Now let's take that principle into business, Bob. Let's take that into dental practice. We see so many posts today. The practice down the street poached my employees. Oh, this guy stole my patients. Well, let me tell you something. There's no such thing as poaching, and there's no such thing as stealing human beings unless you're into human trafficking. The reason people leave is what we have to analyze if we have that problem. And generally, beyond a certain salary point, people are looking for other things that work, and it all starts with the love of another human being.
Yep. Yep.
My hygienist is like a daughter to me.
Yep.
There is nothing I wouldn't do for her. and there is nothing she wouldn't do for me. I have a brand new assistant with us, and we are building and growing that level of rapport as well.
Yep.
We check in with each other, just like you check in with your team. We're aligned in a mission. We're aligned in a common goal, but we're aligned not only intellectually, but emotionally.
Yep.
If there's a culture of love in your practice,
Yep.
and I'm not talking about the sexual impropriety that pervades the news today, because this is not funny. This is serious. If you love your team and open yourself up to their love, and you do the same thing with your patients, and we don't call them patients, Bob. I'm using that term just to break it down so everybody understands. I have a sign above Fran's desk at the office. It says, "Enter as strangers, leave as friends."
I love that.
And that is what we want to do.
I love that. And
You know, our good friend Len Tao talks about raving fans.
yes,
Len is an absolutely brilliant. I wish I had half his IQ points and a third of his drive. He's a great human being. But Len's goal is to get people to be raving fans of your practice. What better way to reach somebody than right to their heart?
yeah,
And how much joy, how much happiness do we derive when a person says, "I love being here"? And yes, I do hear that.
yeah.
I do hear that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that people hate the, hang on, Bob, I'm on a roll here. I'm on a soapbox. Leave me alone. Don't tell me that patients hate coming to the dentist.
Yeah.
It may not be the most delightful thing in the world, but if you give them a little bit more than a drill and a fill, or a drill and a crown, or a drill and an implant and a healing abutment, you give them a little bit more than that, you got raving fans, and your job satisfaction goes through the roof. When a person hugs you, breaks down crying on you, thanks you for helping them overcome their fear, or listening to them and creating a plan that makes sense to them, that's job satisfaction. And that's raving fan. And that's the 5-star review. And that's the Purple Cow wow. I'm off my soapbox. Yeah. Life is about relationships.
It's called.
And that's one thing we are forgetting. When, if we're communicating like this, we're not touching people.
Yeah.
Life is about building relationships.
It's called relationship building. And when you get relationship building, you want your patients say it, my patients say it, "You guys are my favorite." And when you hear that, that's more important than anything else. And
You bet.
Relationship building. And
You bet.
I'm so glad you said it first. I tease with a particular publication, particular editor, that I'm going to write some point counterpoint articles. There's people that talked about during the quarantine, my team got poached. Another one, my team got poached, my team got poached, my team got poached. Well, if your team did get poached, and we hear that a lot all over the world. If that occurred, you need to sit down and figure out, why did they get poached? Because if somebody likes being there, they're not going to leave. And it's tricks and tips. And I get asked all the time, I lost personally, I'm either the luckiest guy on the planet, except for you. I lost nobody during the quarantine. But
I'll see you one and raise you one. I'll
but
raise you one on that. What do you got?
got to think
Yeah.
out of the box, people. During the quarantine, something that I've had for the last 6 years is a group text. And I use it a lot. I used it more than ever during the quarantine. And every 5 days, my team and I did a Zoom call. They would last 10 minutes, 20 minutes, sometimes an hour. They were all paid. And that Zoom call was awesome. How's everybody doing? Is everybody okay? everybody knew that God, and I would take a bullet for my team. We did a virtual Christmas party, and all of a sudden I'm like, and it was so much fun. I couldn't do what I do with my office manager and lead EA Diana. We had it coordinated. Everybody got pizza delivered at the same time, and all of a sudden I said, wait a minute, there's someone in the waiting room on our thing here, Zoom call. There should be no one in the waiting room. And I go, let me see what the heck this is. And I clicked on, boom. I had hired a magician. It was from Wisconsin. He came on, did like a 40-minute show for us. So when you care about your team and you treat them like family, they're not going to get poached. Erwin Schiff is giving a piece of information here that I asked him not to tell. And yes, I bought them all toilet paper during the quarantine. God, Erwin, I asked you not to talk about that. Go ahead, Alan.
I can't see the discussion, the dialogue that's going on.
Thank God.
Is Erwin being a bad boy? And I'll take it up a notch, Bob. I think we are. We did a really good program for Oregon Health Sciences University with Mary Osborne, Joan Unterschutz, and Dr. Dave Karsten. And these are, if you've not heard of these people, these are three brilliant people that I am honored to call my friends and my co-learners. But we talked about this problem, the tension that's going on between dental team members and dentists, and it's so unnecessary. It's so unnecessary if you just use these things to listen and interpret. But now we have a problem. We have another problem, and we see it all over the place. There's no hygienists. There's no assistants. We're working short-staffed. Well, why is that? Well, it could be because unemployment benefits are very good, or it could be they don't have a reason to come back. So as things loosen up a little bit in the labor market, or even in a tight market right now, ask yourself the question, ladies and gentlemen, why would anybody in their right mind want to work in your office? Would you want to work in your office? If I'm a dental team member, I'm looking at my office and Bob Pick's office as to desirable places to work. Why? Because our team carries the culture that we're in this for each other. Yes, I pay a competitive salary. Yes, I'm very generous with all kinds of things, Bob, just like you are. But you know what? Money attracts, pride retains, and love is the glue that holds them all together.
Yes.
And patience also. There's XYZ Dental. I could throw a rock through the window of about 20 different dental offices from mine. Why should anyone in their right mind use my office? And we have to give them a reason. And that reason does come from the nature of the work we do. Being good is not good enough. We're all good.
Yeah.
But we've got to give them more.
Yeah.
It's not what you do for them, it's how you make them feel.
Yep.
It's how you make them feel. And that comes from here. Use it. Use it. Give, give, give. Express care, express concern. Listen generously. You can't treatment plan a $50,000 all on X on a recent divorcee whose spouse left them in the hole with 4 children to raise. You can't do that. And you can't tell them what to do. You can listen to what their goals and objectives are, and you could listen to their limitations, and then you could treat them, you could try to put yourself in their shoes. What would you do? What would I do for me if I were there?
Boy, I couldn't say any better. And there may be one, I think one of my team members is out here, but they would, during this upcoming PBR, which this one is in September, we have one usually September and March, there's a surprise, and nobody knows what it is but me, and it's going to blow them away.
Will it pop out of a cake, Bob?
But it's thinking out of the box. And that's all I'm going to say. But
Yeah.
it's important, and it's true of any business. And there's a reason Ritz-Carlton retains team members. There's a reason you do. There's a reason I do. It's important, but it's, somebody mentioned it earlier here. It's something that we're not taught in dental school. And I'm not sure, I sometimes in a fun way argue about this with Dr. Nacho. It's not necessarily dental school's job. Their job is
No, it isn't.
just how to look for loose enamel rods, how to take impressions, how to do a color match or something, how to send it out to the lab. And, I joke, I'm sort of a different generation. I'm like you. I'm what year did you graduate dental school?
81.
Oh, you're a baby. I graduated 80. But it's...
Old man?
Yeah, I know. And, but it's, one of those things that I joke, my practice management was 4 one-hour lectures the last 4 weeks of dental school. Most of us at that point couldn't have cared less.
Correct.
It's going into a residency, and it's hysterical. It was taught by anybody from Northwestern or Pat Fagan. She was the chairman of hygiene at the time. She today has 2 PhDs, which is awesome, one in education, one in communication. But at the time, she was also a Playboy bunny at our Playboy Club in Chicago at the Drake Hotel on the other side. So I say to everybody, my practice management was taught by a Playboy bunny. And what Pat said, however, when I look back on it, because I still got the outlines, was correct. But none of us could have cared less at the time. But remember, people, when somebody is successful, yes, don't be jealous. Yes, don't compare. But I have a quote that says, don't be jealous of those that are successful. Find out why they're successful.
Mm-hmm.
Put your own spin on it if you can.
Exactly.
Ethics first, and then crank it.
Exactly. And Bob, I think Paul is the next generation. He's like you. He's a powerhouse of positivity. He's awesome, and he's managed to make himself a household name in the dental world, and deservedly so.
Yes.
I think, though, one of the things I learned early in my career is that a dental degree is a very basic thing. Yep. It's like flying was the economy coach on the airline. It's a seat with nothing else. A dental degree is just that, and somebody told me that having a dental degree is merely an entitlement or an authorization or a mandate to take continuing education courses. We are not complete dentists when we finish dental school. The field is much too complex. Life is much too complex. And there's too much learning to do. That even in 4 years, a dental education is an intensive experience. So even in 4 years, they could never have taught us what we've learned in our hours and hours of continuing ed. So really and truly, I think it's up to us to understand who we are, understand our vision and mission in life, apply our dentistry to it, and look for the areas where we need to improve. If you're not producing and collecting more than you're spending, you need to improve in financial skills.
Yes.
If your crowns aren't seating well, you need to improve here. If you want to learn how to place an implant, do an all on X, do beautiful gold work. I learned how to do gold work in the Tucker Study Club. Yeah. If you want to learn that stuff, there is a continuing education course for everything. And just pick and choose.
I couldn't agree more. I published an article in maybe 3 or 4 years ago in Dentist Money Digest, which doesn't exist anymore. It's now part of Dental Products Report or something. But it's working chapter 14 in my upcoming book, Purple Cow. Wow. And I call it the Twin Towers. And I joke, when you graduate dental school, you have a building where you got a pretty good foundation. You got 3-story basement and maybe 2 floors.
Yes.
That's your clinical tower. You then have a business tower. And when you come out of dental school, there's maybe the ability to start construction of it if you start
Yes.
taking the right courses. But throughout your career, with ethics, right courses, right everything, your goal is to start building your clinical tower and your business tower higher and higher and higher and higher and
Yes.
higher till it's taller technically than anybody else. And if you build it with ethics and great foundation, it's going to look awesome and everybody's going to go, wow. You
So
made
then here's where we can slip up. You take a look at Bob Pick. You take a look at me. You take a look at people, the people who are the biggest influencers in our media, the good influencers. And you say to yourself, how the heck am I going to be like this guy, build a building like this guy has built? And the answer is one nail at a time. That you take small steps. A football team scores a touchdown a few yards at a time. It is very rare that you score a touchdown one play from scrimmage. It happens, but it's rare. The way the football team scores is 3, 4, 5 yards at a time, a first down at a time. So if you're starting out and you've got a pile of debt, understand that you're going to dig your way out of that debt one nail at a time, one check at a time. And if you follow the principles that Bob and I talk about, live below your means, get the education you need to move the money the way you need to in an ethical, decent way, find out who you are and practice within the parameters of what you define as good dentistry. Not me, not Bob, not Frank Spear, not John Coyce, not anybody, but you. Take your continuing ed and put your own special spin on it and find a way to just generate the dollars happily, ethically, doing something for people that's valuable, give something valuable to get something valuable, throw a little bit of this in, a little bit of love, mix it all together, and you got a recipe for success.
And
That's all there is to it.
you mentioned something else that's pretty funny. About 9 or 10 years ago, I was lecturing at I think it was Yankee. Some guy comes up to me, and there's people at the end of the lecture, and he goes, "What elevator did you take to get to the top?" And I thought to myself, "This is a strange question." And I said, "Well," I said, "there's no elevator," and
That's right.
that turned out to be working chapter 17 in the book right now.
It's a lot of chapters, Bob.
Yes, it's called the stair step chapter.
Yes, indeed.
And for each floor that you build, there's a set of stairs. And I said to the guy, there's sometimes, when I performed my handicap interpretation, I used to fly 3, 4 stairs up at a time. But I said there's times I'd climb up 3 stairs and I'd get to the next step, then another 3. There's times I'd climb 1 stair and fall down the entire rest of the steps to the landing thing and have a black and blue butt. And I'd get up and climb again, and there's times I'd fall down. But you keep climbing those stairs, and that's one nail at a time.
Yes.
And he didn't quite get that, but everybody sees the success. They don't see what it took to get there.
The price you paid.
Yes,
That's right.
that's the
That's
most
right.
amazing thing. And
Yes.
you mentioned 9/11. Alan and I had this talk a little bit earlier as we were doing something, but it's unbelievable. I'll never forget as long as I live. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but there are certain things you remember in life. As a baby boomer, I remember seeing the Beatles and Ed Sullivan. I can tell you the time, the day. It was CBS here in Chicago, 7 o'clock, right here on our show. And 9/11 is a day I'll never forget. It was a Tuesday, and I was supposed to lecture that night at a study club. One of my administrators comes in and she says, "There's a plane that hit the World Trade Center."
Mm-hmm.
And as a former jet jockey, I thought had it be a bad day in New York. Small plane hit one of the buildings and fell to the floor, a little Cessna or something. Somebody goes, and I said, "Oh man, was there anybody hurt in the ground?" About 10 minutes later, she came in white as a ghost, said second plane hit, and it was 2 jets, and first thing left my lip was terrorism. And it's unbelievable when something like that happens. And why? We all got green gallbladders, pink intestines, and bleed red. We all just look a little bit different on the outside. Alan and I, ay, ay, ay. But you need to.
I can't make my hair stand up. That's,
Yeah. You may not like everybody, that's okay. But if we can learn to respect one another, we can rock the world. It's unreal. Lee Weinstein's out here. He made a comment about, if you're not on social media, you're in a different, time frame. There was a study done by the ADA a year and a half, 2 years ago now. Only 37% of dentists have a Facebook page associated with their office. That's unbelievable. There's roughly 2/3 that don't. It's mind-blowing. It's unbelievable. And so, Alan, before I ask you another question, what questions haven't we attacked yet that you think we should attack that you can answer?
That's a good question, Bob. I think it's finding happiness. I really think we are so in pursuit of dollars, and we should be. We're so in pursuit of the perfect restoration. By the way, there is no such thing. The Constitution of the United States guarantees us three inalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of a Tesla. No. The pursuit of a big house. No. The pursuit of a 15-story, 82-employee practice. No. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I think we really need to recenter on that. I can't practice the way some of these guys practice that I read about. I can't do it. It'd make me miserable, and I don't care how much more money I might make. It's not worth my stomach lining. I was working as an associate in a practice, and I was making decent money, but it was tearing my heart out. Couldn't do it. I had to go out and take the risk. So whatever your happiness is, I think you really need to sit down and identify it, figure out what makes you happy, and use your career, build your career around it. There are guys who are public health dentists. There are guys who are military dentists. There are guys who are AACD dentists. There are Pankey dentists. I love those people. There are guys who are trained by Spear. I love those people. But the reason I love all of these people is because they found their happiness. I got guys that I work with when I treat National Guard soldiers on weekends when I'm asked to. We work our butts off in non-ideal conditions. We love our work and we build camaraderie. So I would tell you to find your happiness first and build your career around it. And if you can't build happiness in dentistry, then go to work as an associate from 9 to 5 and find something else as an outlet for your passions, your joys, and your happiness.
And being your own boss isn't necessarily for everybody, and that's true.
No.
And that's true of any business. Some
Correct.
people are meant to be leaders, other people are not meant to be leaders. It's just that simple. So I want to interject a couple things. First off, it's already been almost an hour. Wow.
Wow.
2, if you're not on Better, Richer, Stronger, get your butts on it. And huge. And 2 things, if you're on my personal site on every Monday morning at 7:10 a.m. Central, 8:10 Eastern, 5:10 Pacific, I go live on my personal site. It started out as a thing to help a few friends who are having a tough time. It keeps growing. It's Monday morning. Bob Picks, kick some butt. And it's to give you more energy than the Energizer Bunny on a Monday morning. And for those of you that are interested, come October 22nd, I think it is, I'm going to be starting, where am I here? I'm going to be starting my second mastermind group. It meets once a month on a Friday afternoon for 3 intense hours. Fun, ethics, unbelievable pioneering purple cow wow techniques to make your practice go vertical. And it meets for a year, CE, so many cool things. If you're interested, please text me your name, your email to 773-230-5211. You will not be disappointed. The comments, the feedback I've gotten so far is heartwarming, and I never want anyone to make the mistakes that I've made. I want them all to get there faster than they ever thought possible. So, Alan, if you had 3 wishes, what would they be?
3 wishes. That my health remain solid and strong. That my family and my friends remain healthy, vibrant, and close. I have friends of almost 50 years now, including the one I'm married to. And that really I could be sustainable as a force for good wherever I go for a very long time.
Yay, I love that.
And of course that the Yankees win the World Series this year. And by the way, I want to thank you, Bob, and all the citizens of Chicago for sending Anthony Rizzo over to our Yankees, because he's tearing it up. He is tearing it up.
The White Sox beat the Yankees.
White Sox?
In the, what do you call it, game? Field of Dreams.
But the Yankee, we'll see. But I want everybody to do the following, and I sign off all of my podcasts this way. And please come to Better, Richer, Stronger. Bob and I have similar messages in a different way, and you'll gain from everything. I explore the human side of practicing dentistry.
Do you have your book nearby?
What's that?
Do you have your book nearby? Your book?
Do I have my book? Oh, yes, I do. Look at this.
If you don't have it, please go to Amazon and buy that. It's an awesome book, people.
Yeah, it really is. It's a very easy read. It's a very easy read, and it's a whole batch of life's lessons based on my story. But I want to tell you all this. Eat right, exercise, get enough sleep, live well, make somebody's life better each and every day. Because, man, that's what life is all about. And then, please, it's imperative, enjoy the ride. We're only here once, to the best of our knowledge. And there's so much stress. But if you put it to the side, there's also so much happiness. Let your problems challenge you, but don't let them define you. Look at the love and the joy in your life.
Love it.
Because that's where it's all at, folks. And Bob Pick, I am so, so grateful for this very, very rich, raw, and deep friendship we've cultivated. And boy, I love your message, and I think you're a great teacher, a great leader, a really great thinker in our profession. And if only I could make my hair stand up like yours. I can't do it.
Thank you. It's deposited as we talked about.
That's good. Thank you. Thank you.
And so, awesome interview.
Thanks for having me.
It's my pleasure. And as I end every interview with, every live, remember, make every day your masterpiece, people. No negativity allowed out here. You are greatness. Don't fight it. Remember that. And success is your duty, obligation, and responsibility. It comes
Sir, yes, sir.
With everything we've talked about. So I love you all. Have a great rest of the weekend. Kick some butt. See you all Sunday night on the Purple Cow Wow Live. Go check out Alan's stuff. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. Love you all.
Thank you.
Bye.